Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Today, we're tackling something we all hear about but might not fully understand. Vitamins.
Oh, yeah. They can be a bit of a mystery.
Especially when you see all those different letters, numbers, A, B, C, D, E.
Yeah.
Like, where do you even begin?
Right. It can feel overwhelming.
So we're going to break it down one by one and look at 5 of the most essential vitamins, starting with vitamin A.
Vitamin A.
The one we always connect with good eyesight, like eat your carrot, see better.
Yeah.
But is there more to it than that?
Well, there's definitely truth to the carrot connection, yeah. Vitamin A is essential for making rhodopsin.
Rhoda what now?
Rhodopsin. It's a pigment, a light-sensitive pigment in your eyes, in your retinas, and without enough vitamin A, you might start having trouble seeing in dim light.
Ah, so it's more about night vision than, like, overall sharpness.
Exactly. It's about how your eyes adjust to low light conditions.
Okay, that makes sense. But vitamin A does more than just help us see in the dark, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's also a major player in cell growth and differentiation. Meaning it helps our bodies grow and develop properly. It's essential for healthy skin, strong mucous membranes. Basically, it helps keep everything running smoothly at the cellular level.
Okay, so it's like a behind-the-scenes worker keeping our bodies in tip-top shape. I also remember reading something about vitamin A and the immune system.
You're right. It's a powerful immune booster. Vitamin A helps our bodies fight off those nasty infections. It's like having a secret weapon against all those bugs and viruses.
Wow, so it's like a multivitamin superhero or something.
Mm-hmm.
So where can we find this amazing vitamin A? Besides carrots, of course.
Well, you've got your animal sources like liver, dairy products. They provide vitamin A directly. But don't worry if you're plant-based. There are plenty of delicious fruits and veggies that are packed with beta-carotene.
Beta-carotene?
It's a precursor to vitamin A. Your body's pretty smart. It can convert beta-carotene into usable vitamin A.
Fascinating. So we can get vitamin A straight from the source or let our bodies do a little converting. Pretty cool system.
Right. And speaking of those plant-based sources, think color. Carrots, sweet potatoes, spinach. Those vibrant colors are a good sign you're getting that beta-carotene.
Makes sense. Eating the rainbow and all that.
Exactly. But remember, the recommended intake of vitamin A can vary depending on your age, gender, and even life stage. Pregnant women, for example, have slightly higher needs.
Good point. So it's always best to chat with your doctor and make sure you're getting the right amount. Now let's move on to the B vitamins, often called the energy boosters.
Ah, yes, the B vitamins. There's actually a whole complex of them.
A complex, like a whole family.
Exactly. Think of them as a team of specialists, each with their unique role, but all working together on some pretty crucial processes.
Like what?
Energy production, of course. But they're also involved in nervous system function, making red blood cells, even DNA synthesis. Pretty important stuff.
Wow, that's a lot of responsibility. But with so many different B vitamins, how do they all work together? Do they ever, like, step on each other's toes?
Well, it's more like an orchestra. Each instrument plays its part, contributing to the overall harmony. You've got thiamine, or B1, which is vital for turning carbohydrates into energy. Then there's cobalamin, also known as B12.
B12, that one always rings a bell.
It's super important for keeping our nerve cells and red blood cells happy and healthy. And of course, we can't forget about folate, B9. Especially crucial during pregnancy, for healthy fetal development.
Yeah, I've heard that folate is really important for preventing birth defects. So it's not just about feeling energized, it's about all these essential functions happening behind the scenes.
Absolutely. And the good news is you can find B vitamins in a wide variety of foods. Whole grains, meat, poultry, fish, beans, nuts, leafy greens, you name it.
Basically, eating a diverse diet covers your bases.
Pretty much. But what if you're not getting enough of these B vitamins? What happens then?
Yeah, are there any, like, warning signs or something?
Well, each B vitamin deficiency has its own set of symptoms. For instance, not enough B1 can lead to beriberi.
Beriberi?
Yeah, it affects the nervous and cardiovascular systems.
Right?
Pretty serious stuff. And then there's a lack of B12, which can lead to pernicious anemia.
Anemia, that's when your blood doesn't have enough red blood cells, right?
Exactly. Your body struggles to produce enough healthy red blood cells, which can lead to fatigue, weakness, and a bunch of other problems. And during pregnancy, as we mentioned, not enough folate can lead to neural tube defects in the baby.
Okay, so those are some pretty serious consequences. It seems like getting enough B vitamins is crucial for, well, pretty much everything.
You got it. And that's why a balanced diet is so important. But if you have any concerns, always talk to your doctor. They can help figure out what's best for you.
Great advice. Now let's move on to another superstar, vitamin C.
Yeah.
the immune system champion. Everyone associates it with fighting colds, but what's really going on there?
Ah, vitamin C. It's famous for a reason. It's all about those antioxidant powers, fighting off those nasty free radicals.
Free radicals. Those sound like something out of a comic book.
Uh-huh. Kind of. But they're actually unstable molecules that can damage our cells and DNA, leading to oxidative stress. And oxidative stress is linked to all sorts of bad things: aging, diseases.
So vitamin C steps in and neutralizes these troublemakers.
Precisely. It's like a tiny warrior constantly battling to keep our cells healthy, but it doesn't stop there. Vitamin C is also a key player in making collagen.
Collagen, the stuff that keeps our skin looking young and fabulous.
That's one of its many roles. Collagen is also vital for the structure of our bones, tendons, blood vessels, you name it. It basically holds us together.
Wow, so it's not just about beauty, it's about the very framework of our bodies.
Exactly. And there's even more. Vitamin C can help your body absorb iron, particularly from plant-based foods. So it's a true multitasker.
Impressive. So where do we find this superhero vitamin?
Think bright colors again: citrus fruits, strawberries, bell peppers, broccoli, all bursting with vitamin C.
So eating colorful foods is basically like taking a multivitamin.
You could say that. Now, how much do we need of this wonder vitamin? For men, it's around 90 milligrams a day, and for women, it's about 75 milligrams.
Not too bad. But what happens if we don't get enough? I've heard about scurvy. That sounds scary.
Scurvy, yeah, that was a big problem back in the day, especially for sailors on long voyages without fresh fruits and veggies. It's a severe vitamin C deficiency.
So what are the symptoms?
Well, the most well-known is bleeding gums, but you also get fatigue, skin hemorrhages, and even problems with wound healing.
Oh, wow. That sounds awful. Thankfully, scurvy is pretty rare these days, right?
It is, yeah. But even mild deficiencies can weaken your immune system and make it harder for your body to heal. So it's still super important to make sure you're getting enough vitamin C.
Makes sense. Now, what about the flip side? Can you have too much vitamin C?
Well, vitamin C is water soluble, so your body can flush out any excess. But if you're taking mega doses of supplements, you might experience some not so fun side effects like stomach upset or diarrhea.
So as with most things in life, moderation is key.
Exactly. Everything in balance.
All right. We've covered vitamins A, B, and C. Quite the lineup. What's next on our vitamin journey?
Well, how about we soak up some knowledge about vitamin D, the sunshine vitamin?
Oh, that's a good one. I've always been curious about the connection between vitamin D and sunlight.
Me too. It's pretty fascinating.
So tell me, what's the deal with vitamin D in the sun?
Well, when your skin is exposed to sunlight, specifically those UVB rays, it actually starts producing vitamin D3.
Wait, so we can make our own vitamin D just by being out in the sun? That's amazing. But why is vitamin D so important for our bodies? I know it has something to do with bones, right?
You got it. Vitamin D is crucial for calcium and phosphorus absorption. And those minerals are essential for building and maintaining strong bones.
Ah, so that's why vitamin D is so important for preventing bone problems like rickets in children and osteoporosis in adults.
Exactly. Rickets can cause bone deformities in kids, and osteoporosis weakens the bones, making them more likely to fracture. Not fun.
Definitely not. Strong bones are a must. But I'm curious, are there any other benefits to vitamin D besides bone health?
Oh, absolutely. Vitamin D might also play a role in immune function, regulating cell growth, and there's even research suggesting it might help prevent chronic diseases like heart disease and certain cancers.
Wow, so it's a multitasker, just like the other vitamins we've talked about.
Yeah.
So, besides soaking up some sun, how else can we make sure we're getting enough vitamin D?
Well, you can find it in certain foods like fatty fish salmon, mackerel, sardines are all good choices. Fish liver oil is another option, though it doesn't exactly sound appetizing, I know. And some fortified dairy products and certain types of mushrooms contain vitamin D as well.
Okay, so sunshine, salmon, and mushrooms. Got it. What about the recommended daily intake? How much do we need to stay healthy?
Most adults need somewhere between 600 and 800 IU daily. But as always, it's best to talk to your healthcare provider for personalized advice.
Good reminder. And what about the risks of deficiency or excess? Is there such a thing as too much vitamin D?
Well, too little vitamin D, as we've seen, can lead to those bone problems we talked about. It can also cause muscle weakness and even make you more susceptible to infections. On the other hand, too much vitamin D, usually from overdosing on supplements, can lead to something called hypercalcemia.
Hyper what now?
Hypercalcemia. It means there's too much calcium in your blood, which can lead to kidney stones, bone pain, even kidney damage in severe cases.
Yikes. Okay, so another reminder that balance is key. All right, we covered A, B, C, and D. Last but not least, let's talk about vitamin E, the cell protector, I believe it's called. Why is that?
Well, vitamin E is a powerful antioxidant, which means it helps protect our cells from damage caused by those pesky free radicals we talked about earlier.
Ah, so it's like a shield for our cells, keeping them safe from harm.
Exactly. And it's not just about protecting individual cells. Vitamin E also plays a role in maintaining a healthy immune system, keeping our skin and eyes in good shape. And there's even research suggesting it might help protect against chronic diseases like heart disease and cancer.
Wow, another multitasker. So where can we find this cellular bodyguard?
Primarily in plant-based oils like wheat germ oil, sunflower oil, and olive oil. It's also abundant in nuts like almonds and hazelnuts, seeds like sunflower seeds, leafy greens like spinach and kale are good sources too. Oh, and some fortified foods have added vitamin E.
Got it. So a plant-focused diet seems to be the way to go for vitamin E. What about the recommended intake? How much do we need?
For adults, the recommended daily intake is 15 milligrams or 22.4 IU.
All right, good to know.
Yeah.
Now, what are the downsides? What happens if you don't get enough vitamin E or if you get too much?
Well, vitamin E deficiency is pretty uncommon, but it can lead to some serious problems, especially if it goes on for a long time. Nerve problems are a big one, things like muscle weakness, coordination issues, even vision problems.
Well, those sound pretty serious. And what about too much vitamin E? Is that a problem too?
Well, too much vitamin E can actually interfere with blood clotting, which can be dangerous for people taking blood-thinning medication. So, as always, it's a good idea to chat with your doctor before starting any new supplements.
Makes sense. So as we've seen with all the vitamins we've discussed today, balance is key.
Absolutely. Too little or too much of anything can throw things off. It's all about finding that sweet spot, you know?
That sweet spot where our bodies are getting just the right amount of each nutrient to function at their best.
Exactly.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. It's been fascinating to learn about these 5 essential vitamins, A, B, C, D, and E. Who knew they were so complex and played such diverse roles in our health?
It's amazing, isn't it? These tiny vitamins have such a huge impact on our overall well-being. It really makes you appreciate the power of good nutrition.
It does. And while we focused on these 5 today, it's important to remember that there's a whole world of other vitamins and minerals out there, each with its own unique role to play.
Absolutely. Our bodies are complex machines, and they need a wide variety of nutrients to function properly.
So what's the best way to make sure we're getting all the vitamins and minerals we need?
Well, as we've touched on throughout our conversation, a balanced and diverse diet is key.
Eating the rainbow. Lots of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, healthy fats, the whole shebang.
Exactly. Think of your plate as a work of art. The more colorful and varied it is, the better.
I like that. And of course, if you have any specific concerns or questions about your vitamin intake, it's always a good idea to chat with your doctor or a registered dietitian.
Absolutely. They can assess your individual needs and help you figure out what's best for you.
Now, before we wrap up, I'd like to pose a question to you and to our listeners. If vitamins are so essential for our health, why do you think so many people still struggle to get enough? What factors contribute to this widespread vitamin gap?
That's a great question. And it's a complex one, too. There are a lot of different factors at play, from access to nutritious food to cultural influences and personal preferences. And let's not forget about misinformation. There are a lot of myths and misconceptions surrounding vitamins and nutrition out there.
It's true. Sometimes it feels like wading through a jungle of information out there,
Yeah.
trying to figure out what's true and what's not.
Exactly. It can be overwhelming. And unfortunately, this can lead to people making less than ideal choices when it comes to their diet and their health.
So it seems like it's not just a matter of individual responsibility. There are also societal and systemic factors that contribute to these vitamin deficiencies.
Absolutely. It's a complex issue with multiple layers. We need to address not only individual choices, but also the broader context in which those choices are made. Things like food insecurity, poverty, lack of access to healthy food options. These all play a role.
So it's not just about telling people to eat their fruits and veggies. It's about creating an environment where healthy choices are accessible and affordable for everyone.
Exactly. It's about creating a food system that prioritizes health and well-being for all.
Well, I think that's a perfect note to end on. Food for thought, quite literally.
Indeed.
We encourage all of you to continue exploring the fascinating world of vitamins and nutrition. And most importantly, prioritize a balanced and nourishing diet to support your health and well-being. Remember, Knowledge is power. Understanding the role of these essential nutrients empowers you to make informed choices for a healthier and more vibrant life.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today for this deep dive into the world of vitamins. It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
The pleasure was all mine. Always happy to talk about the amazing power of nutrition.
And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in. We'll be back soon with another exciting exploration. Until then, stay curious, keep learning, and take good care of yourselves.
See you next time. It really is. It makes you wonder, how much sun do we actually need to make enough vitamin D?
Right. Like, do I need to be out there all day, every day?
Well, not exactly. The amount of sun exposure you need to make sufficient vitamin D can vary depending on a bunch of factors, like your skin tone, the time of year, and where you live.
So someone living in sunny California might need less time in the sun than someone in, say, Seattle.
Exactly. And people with darker skin tones naturally have more melanin, which acts as a natural sunscreen, so they might need a bit more time in the sun compared to folks with lighter skin.
Interesting. So how can we figure out how much sun exposure is right for us?
Well, it's always a good idea to talk to your doctor about it. They can take into account your individual circumstances and give you personalized advice.
Good point. Now, what about those of us who can't get enough sunlight? Like, what if you live in a place where the sun barely shines for half the year? Or what if you work indoors all day? Are there other ways to get vitamin D?
Definitely. There are plenty of food sources that can help boost your vitamin D intake. We mentioned fatty fish earlier, like salmon, mackerel, and sardines. They're great sources.
Yeah, I love a good salmon fillet. What about other options?
Well, fish liver oil is another one, though it might not be everyone's cup of tea. And some fortified dairy products, like milk and yogurt, can also provide vitamin D.
Makes sense. Oh, and I remember you mentioned mushrooms earlier. Do all mushrooms have vitamin D?
Not all of them, but some varieties do. Certain types of mushrooms, like shiitake and maitake, can actually produce vitamin D when exposed to UV light.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So even mushrooms can get their sunshine fix. Okay, so we've got sunshine, salmon, fortified dairy, and special mushrooms. Anything else we should know about getting enough vitamin D?
Well, just like with other vitamins, the recommended daily intake can vary. For most adults, it's between 600 and 800 IU. But again, always talk to your healthcare provider for personalized guidance.
Always good advice. Now let's talk about the risks of not getting enough vitamin D. We touched on this briefly earlier, but I'd love to hear a little more. What are some of the consequences of vitamin D deficiency?
Well, we know that vitamin D plays a big role in bone health. So not surprisingly, one of the major risks of deficiency is an increased risk of those bone problems we talked about earlier, rickets in kids and osteoporosis in adults.
Right, those conditions can seriously impact quality of life.
Exactly. And beyond bone health, vitamin D deficiency can also lead to muscle weakness, and it might even make you more susceptible to infections.
That's scary. So getting enough vitamin D is really important for maintaining a strong immune system too.
Absolutely. And it's not just about physical health. Emerging research suggests that vitamin D might also play a role in mental health, potentially impacting things like mood and cognitive function.
Really? Tell me more about that.
Well, some studies have linked vitamin D deficiency to an increased risk of depression and cognitive decline. It's a fascinating area of research, and scientists are still uncovering all the potential benefits of vitamin D.
That's incredible. So getting enough vitamin D might not only keep our bones strong, but it could also support our mental well-being.
That's what the research suggests. It's definitely something to keep in mind.
Definitely. Now, what about the flip side? What happens if we get too much vitamin D? Is that even possible?
It is, especially if you're taking high doses of supplements. Too much vitamin D can lead to a condition called hypercalcemia, which we mentioned earlier.
Right, when there's too much calcium in your blood.
Exactly. And that can cause a whole host of problems: kidney stones, bone pain, nausea, vomiting. In severe cases, it can even lead to kidney damage.
Wow. Okay, so another reminder that balance is everything. It's amazing how our bodies can be so sensitive to both deficiencies and excesses.
It really is a delicate balance. That's why it's always important to get personalized advice from your healthcare provider. They can help you determine the right amount of vitamin D for your individual needs.
Now let's move on to our final vitamin for today. Vitamin E, often called the cell protector. What makes it so special?
Vitamin E is a powerful antioxidant, just like vitamin C. This means it helps protect our cells from damage caused by those unstable molecules we talked about earlier, free radicals.
Right, those little troublemakers that can wreak havoc on our cells.
Exactly. And vitamin E is particularly good at protecting cell membranes. Those are the outer layers of our cells that control what goes in and out.
So it's like vitamin E is reinforcing the walls of our cells, making them stronger and more resilient.
That's a great way to put it. And it's not just cell membranes. Vitamin E also helps protect our DNA from damage, which is essential for preventing mutations that can lead to diseases like cancer.
Wow, so vitamin E is really working hard to keep our cells healthy and functioning properly. What are some good sources of this cellular bodyguard?
You'll find vitamin E primarily in plant-based oils, like wheat germ oil, sunflower oil, and olive oil. It's also abundant in nuts and seeds, like almonds, hazelnuts, and sunflower seeds. Leafy green vegetables, like spinach and kale, are also good sources, and some fortified foods have added vitamin E.
Got it. So a plant-focused diet seems to be the way to go for vitamin E as well. Now, how much do we need to reap these benefits? What's the recommended daily intake?
For adults, it's 15 milligrams, or 22.4 IU.
Okay, and what about the downsides of not getting enough? What happens if we're deficient in vitamin E?
Well, vitamin E deficiency is fairly rare, but it can lead to some serious problems, especially if it's prolonged. Nerve problems are a major concern, including muscle weakness, coordination issues, and even vision problems. It can also weaken the immune system and make it harder for wounds to heal.
Wow, that's a lot to worry about. So making sure we get enough vitamin E is definitely important. Now, what about the opposite? What happens if we get too much?
Well, excess vitamin E can interfere with blood clotting, so it can be risky for people who are taking blood-thinning medications. As always, it's a good idea to talk to your doctor before starting any new supplements, including vitamin E.
That's a good reminder. So it seems like with all these vitamins, it's all about balance. Too little or too much can have negative consequences. It's amazing how our bodies work, isn't it? They need these specific nutrients
Yeah.
in just the right amounts to function optimally.
It really is incredible. It makes you appreciate the complexity and the delicate balance of our bodies.
It does. And it highlights the importance of paying attention to what we eat and making sure we're getting a variety of nutrients from whole food sources.
Exactly. While supplements can be helpful in certain situations, they shouldn't be a substitute for a healthy, balanced diet.
So we should aim to get most of our vitamins and minerals from the foods we eat, right? Fruits, veggies, whole grains, lean proteins, all that good stuff.
You got it. And remember, it's not just about eating healthy, it's about enjoying what you eat. Explore different flavors, try new recipes, and make it a fun and delicious journey.
Great advice. After all, healthy eating shouldn't be a chore. It should be a source of pleasure and nourishment.
It is. And speaking of enjoying our food, did you know that there are actually two main forms of vitamin A?
Two forms. I thought vitamin A was just vitamin A.
Well, there's preformed vitamin A, which is found directly in animal products like liver and dairy. And then there's provitamin A, which is found in those colorful plant-based foods we talked about earlier, like carrots, sweet potatoes, and spinach.
So our bodies have to convert those plant compounds into the usable form of vitamin A.
Exactly. Your body is pretty amazing like that. The most common type of provitamin A is beta-carotene, and your intestines can convert it to retinol, the active form of vitamin A.
So whether we're getting vitamin A straight from animal sources or indirectly from plants, our bodies have a way of making sure we get what we need. That's pretty neat.
It is. And speaking of those clever B vitamins, remember how we talked about them being a whole family? Well, each member of that family has its own set of responsibilities.
Right, it's like a well-coordinated team, each B vitamin with its own special skill set.
Precisely. For instance, thiamine, or B1, is essential for the nervous system to function properly. Then you've got riboflavin, or B2, which is crucial for energy production and protecting our cells from damage. And niacin, or B3, is involved in DNA repair and cell signaling.
Wow, it's amazing how much is going on behind the scenes. And we haven't even talked about B6, B12, and folate yet.
There's a lot to cover. Pyridoxine, or B6, is crucial for protein metabolism and the formation of red blood cells. Cobalamin, or B12, as we mentioned earlier, is vital for nerve cell health and red blood cell formation. And folate, or B9, is critical for cell division and growth, especially during pregnancy.
It's truly remarkable how these tiny vitamins can have such a huge impact on our overall health.
It is. Now, shifting gears to vitamin C for a moment. We talked about its role as an antioxidant and its importance for collagen production. But did you know that vitamin C also plays a crucial role in wound healing?
Now that you mentioned that makes sense. Collagen is essential for tissue repair, so it stands to reason that vitamin C would be involved in that process.
Exactly. Vitamin C helps strengthen blood vessels and form scar tissue, both essential for wound healing. And it also supports the immune system, helping to fight off infections that could slow down healing.
So vitamin C is really a key player in keeping us healthy and resilient.
Absolutely. Now, turning our attention to vitamin D, we discussed how crucial it is for bone health, but its role goes way beyond that.
Oh, I'm all ears. Tell me more about these hidden talents of vitamin D.
Well, emerging research suggests that vitamin D might actually play a role in regulating mood and cognitive function. Some studies have linked vitamin D deficiency to an increased risk of depression and cognitive decline.
Wow, really? So getting enough vitamin D might not only keep our bones strong, but it could also help support our mental well-being.
That's what the research is suggesting. It's a fascinating area of study, and scientists are still working to uncover all the potential benefits of vitamin D.
Incredible. Okay, last but not least, let's wrap up with vitamin E. We know it's a powerful antioxidant, but what else makes it so special?
Well, vitamin E is particularly important for protecting cell membranes from damage caused by those free radicals we talked about earlier. Cell membranes are basically the gatekeepers of our cells, controlling what goes in and out. And by protecting these membranes, vitamin E helps maintain the integrity and function of our cells.
So it's like vitamin E is reinforcing the walls of our cells, keeping them strong and resilient.
That's a great analogy. And it's not just cell membranes. Vitamin E also helps protect our DNA from damage, which is crucial for preventing mutations that can lead to diseases.
Wow, vitamin E is truly a guardian of cellular health.
It really is. And as we wrap up our deep dive into these 5 essential vitamins, I want to emphasize once again the importance of a balanced and varied diet for obtaining these nutrients.
Absolutely. While supplements can be helpful in certain situations, it's always best to aim for a nutrient-rich diet that provides a whole symphony of vitamins and minerals working together in harmony.
Beautifully put, a symphony of nutrients, each playing its part in the grand orchestra of our health.
That's a wonderful way to think about it.
Mhm.
And just like a symphony needs all of its instruments to create a beautiful melody, our bodies need all the essential vitamins and minerals to function at their best.
Well said.
As we conclude our deep dive today, we encourage all of you to continue exploring the fascinating world of vitamins and nutrition. And most importantly, prioritize a balanced and nourishing diet to support your health and well-being. Remember, knowledge is power. Understanding the role of these essential nutrients empowers you to make informed choices for a healthier and more vibrant life. Thank you for joining us today. It's been a pleasure sharing this journey with you.
Thank you for having me. It's been a delight to delve into the incredible world of vitamins with you and our listeners.
And to all of you tuning in, thank you for being here. We'll be back next time with another deep dive into a fascinating topic. Until then, stay curious, keep learning, and take good care of yourselves.